Peace and blessings, everybody. It's me, Mike Can, aka Rogue Spiritual. How y'all doing today? This is gonna be a second take of my video, whatever the case is. So, I had an interesting conversation with a friend of mine, which I will not reveal its name or its gender, and it started off with a video that this person seen about how a man impregnated three women, started a family with three different women, you know. So, and he's active in their lives. This is the thing. The comment section went crazy. You know, even if he, she, or it sent me the link, you can it's not clickable because YouTube wants to verify me with certain things. So I'm gonna tell you the gist of it. So he has a family between three different women, and homes are broken, this and this and that. You know what? It's not the kid's fault, and at this point, it's all four of their fault. Yeah, the man doesn't want to commit to all any none not nan three of them. However, it's all three of the women fault for not doing the shadow work, and it's the man's fault for not doing the shadow work as well. So you know, I know there's a lot of politics in the family, whatever the case is that we grew up with, we us blacks and Latinos grew up in, whether in the city and sometimes the suburbs or whatever the case is. But I'm gonna ask you this, now that is a damaged family that I just mentioned. However, I would like to ask the black community this, like, in spite of all the politics we go through in our own families or whatever the case is, I would like to know, what do you consider the damaged home? Number one. Number two, what TV show fucked your mind up? Was it the Brady Bunch? Was it Seventh Heaven? Or was it Parenthood? For you to try to emulate what you saw to the point you start cursing out the older generation and blaming the older generation for you being who you are. I'm gonna tell you something like this. Coming from me, there's a lot of politics in my family to the point that I refuse to bring it up to YouTube, and I won't. Don't ask me. However, I can tell you this. I know where I'm wanted, I know where I'm loved, and I know where I'm appreciated. And it's also like, yeah, we grew up in poverty. We grew up with poverty and a lot of politics in between. However, there's love. There was a lot of love, and there's still a lot of love within our family. Okay? Like, I said, I said the same things y'all said when I was 10. I said the same things y'all said when I was maybe 16. And before I turned 21, I waved the white flag because I realized that destiny is a lot of destinies. It's gonna manifest the same way. Like, let's say if I didn't have a galaxy of fathers, right? And then my dad stood around, the destiny would have manifested the same. You know, destiny would have manifested the same. Still would have been an LGBT member. Still would have started working at 14, and everything that follows suit. You know, so I would like to know, what TV show fucked your mind up to the point that you wanted to emulate or have a perfect family like Seventh Heaven, Brady Bunch, or Parenthood, in the Hood, which is pretty conjured the fuck up. At this point, you can't really blame the older generation for you being the way you are. Honestly, you really can't. Because the older generation did what they were supposed to do by bringing you into this world. By the time you collected your first paycheck and by the time you lost your virginity, that's when you should have realized that life is what you make it. When you pick up your first paycheck, you should have realized then life is what you make it. When you lost your virginity, that's when you another time you should have realized life is what you make it. Okay? Like, I don't know what's with these people still crying over their absentee fathers, still crying over certain things, still crying over spilled milk. Okay? And if you want to ask me about generational curses, um, I acknowledge it to the point that I start doubting generational curses. I actually don't believe in generational curses. Because if you're going to talk about generational curse, that again, you're gonna fuck around and blame your mommy, your daddy, your grandma, or for you being who you are. I think generational curses is a form of victimhood. You know, like I've seen it for myself. People that usually preach generational curses are the ones that cried over spankings to the point that they joined the gang life because they didn't like getting spankings from their mommy and daddy, even though they had to. And if they didn't join the gang life, they attempted to join the gang life around my age or even older because of all the spankings they got when they was younger. Also, a generational curse is acknowledged as it comes from those who will cry over saltine crackers and chicken noodle soup, like J Rock in his raps, you know, or peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, like bitch, bye. At least you didn't go to bed hungry. And you cried over saltine crackers and chicken noodle soup or whatever the case is. Like you are what? Like seriously, the generational curses is something that was conjured up by brats. Okay, listen. I would not be the man that I am today if my mom didn't discipline me. I would not be the man that I am today if my mother didn't drill education into my brain. Now look where I'm at. I'm 37. I'm about to learn a trade. I didn't go to college. However, I decided to work instead of laying on my mom's couch collecting dust. I decided to work instead of being in a space and watching adult entertainment all day because that shit gets old on the low. And it's like all this plus the conversation with this friend of mine is at this point and a lot of black summon conversations that we've had within the black community, you know, has become redundant since the universe came to be. It has become so redundant to the point that I was in a mental institution for that shit. If it wasn't hip hop, it was definitely revolutions. I said the same things that Hocus 45th said, and I waved the white flag because I thought of my mental health. I became selfish. I said the same things my friend said before, even before I met him, her or it, and I waved the white flag because I thought of my mental health. I said everything that these black revolutionaries or rappers turned revolutionaries said, and I waved the white flag because I thought of my mental health. I stopped saying Black Lives Matter and started to say my life matters. Okay? My life matters. Here, this is my life. If it has nothing to do with my life, I don't want to talk about it. And I'm very serious with my mental health. Sobriety is another thing that I'm serious with too. Okay? You know, this is the thing. I used to have all these conversations saying the same things that these revolutionaries said or whatever to the point that I was in the groups and I was like, okay, how are we going to get to the solution? You know? And it wound up going left once I started putting my 2 cents in. So anything that is, I guess, revolutionary or LGBT or men or women or this or that or even politics, I don't put my 2 cents in anymore because I know the conversation will go left and people will start projecting. Another thing is that all these conversations I put to rest by laying the Black Kingdom prayer as I pray to Pluto. Okay? In particular, Oden, the god of Pluto. And yes, he's white. So, Oden answered your Black Kingdom prayers. What inspired the Black Kingdom prayers was the fact that, you know, it inspired the Black Kingdom prayer since 2005 when I used to hang out in Brooklyn, where Brooklyn was my stomping ground since 2005 because I had a crew out there, whatever the case is. You know, first time I went to Brooklyn, you know, I'm over here trying to get a Lucy. I'm over here trying to, you know, get a coffee or whatever the case is. Niggas did put $1 out there. Like, niggas did put up $1 so I can get a cigarette and a coffee. Niggas show me where the liquor store is. Niggas bought me a cigarette. Niggas let me go for a cigarette. Niggas out in Brooklyn opened their hearts to me. And then what amplified the situation was that I was on a New York City tour due to the fact that rappers was violating my head, whether dead or living, right? So I was in the flatland section of Brooklyn, losing my bed. I already lost my bed at this point, and when I was out in the streets or whatever the case is, due to these rappers violating my head, um, niggas out in the neighborhood gave me chips, soda, food, drinks, or whatever the case is. They even let me sleep in their hallways, as long as they can control it. And that's when I got my crib in Queens or whatever the case is, I literally took that Black Kingdom, the Black Unity, and put it everywhere in New York City as well as the world with prayer and actions that follow suit. So, so you could think Brooklyn and you can think Oden that I got my inspirations of Black Unity from Brooklyn. People are so caught up with the gutter shit that goes on in Brooklyn that they miss the big picture, the unity of Brooklyn, the unity of the Brooklynites, whether black, white, or everything in between. Word of hip hop. I caught the juice early on in life, and I took that everywhere. Okay, so I put a lot of these redundant conversations to rest with the Black Kingdom prayer. And you know what? You can doubt me all you want, but I suggest you don't doubt God, because you know what? You That's all I gotta say. Like, I suggest you don't doubt God, but you know what? Everybody's gonna doubt God's universe and even God Himself, because people want results. Let me tell you something about prayers. Right up to Buruheria. Prayers are never instantaneous. However, it's answered on time. Black businesses are now flourishing. People are scholars. Not everybody wants to be a rapper. People are following their dreams. This and this and that. Okay? If you doubt, do math. That's all I gotta say. Thank you. Because maybe Odin has blessed your black business as well. Amen.